Alright, you white motherfuckers, all eyes on me. This is the I Refuse podcast. We up here talking about the Diddy case, right? We did about 4 or 5 videos talking about the Diddy trial. So picking up where we left off, the last video on the channel is based off of Monday to Thursday. I hadn't done Friday yet. Monday and Tuesday happened. Today's Wednesday. It's still happening. So I'm going to go through Friday to Tuesday. Now, where it stands, up until that point, I was still kind of, it's a slippery slope as far as Cassie, right? I initially thought we were going to go in and Cassie was going to be the smoking gun and shut all this stuff down. What's going to trip her up, obviously, were the text messages. Unfortunately, though, because it's early in the game, it can still do this. While the text messages may undermine some of what Cassie has said up until this point, Don Ricard and I believe Aubrey O'Day, as well as the next stripper who was also pulled in under the guise that he was going to dance, but came in and realized, oh, he's being paid to be watched having sex with Cassie. I said earlier, this is a racketeering / RICO case, human trafficking case. When you get to the part about the hiring the strippers from one area, they're coming in thinking they're going to dance. And so far, every dancer, that's their profession, every entertainer, that's their profession, has got up on that stand and maintained the same story. They were commissioned under the guise that they were going to be dancing for a party. They get there, and it's essentially prostitution. That's a crime. Also, at this point, there's always going to be some thoughts where you're like, I don't know if this really qualifies for that. Which, the point of a trial, you're not going to get just what you think satisfies, one or both of the areas. They're calling everybody that's being subpoenaed. Personal assistants, adult entertainers, employers, chefs, bodyguards, security, everybody. Because the part about the racketeering is they want to explore the network. And at this point, you have women that he has dated or laid with in addition to Cassie. So there's massive amounts of overlap, no pun intended. Then you have members of Danity Kane. You have Kalina Harper from Dirty Money. And as far as Don Ricard and Kalina Harper, while Kalina Harper has maintained the same position, I've said to myself early on, I think he's buying her. Um, but again, that also can be exposed at some point if I know the feds like I know the feds. Don McCarthy, on the other hand, about 85, 90% of that does not fall into those two categories. Diddy can be explosive. Diddy can be forceful. Diddy can be a lot of things that have led to a lot of different experiences and outcomes for a lot of these women. Um, but in my opinion, Dawn Ricard and Kalina Harper are probably the lightest weight as far as a smoking gun. Um, Cassie is still the main event, and everything that she has exposed is going to be explored during the trial. And every person associated with her, while she may not, while it may go one way or another as far as what the jury may think, when you get to Diddy's personal assistant for about the 2 years that explains the the trail or the setup, the trail leading up to the setup of the rooms in Trump Tower, other hotel rooms that he put the personal assistant in charge of, the details as far as what's in the bags, what, the different kind of women that came through, not just Cassie. And then you add to that, the Suge Knight situation, the guns in the lab, especially, which are not registered. And you add to that having your employees hooked up to lie detectors on some like Nino Brown, New Jack City shit because you think they stole some of your items. That sounds like intimidation. That definitely sounds like a network, a financial network, especially when you get to the part of using money, using money to set all of this up, and then it not coming or you not wanting it to come from, oh, here's the thing. Here's where we are with that. You are using cash to fund and pay for all of this hotel room stuff and the shenanigans and the accoutrement. We'll say accoutrement. So use the assistant, the personal assistant that was his assistant for about 2 years, said that he, the man that's on trial, wanted to use cash because he didn't want any paper trail saying that it came from Bad Boy. And he didn't want a paper trail going to Bad Boy. Um, I think it's a smoking gun, y'all. Now look, I'm no Brian Gumble, I'm no Nancy Grace, but there was some explosive stuff happening this week so far. From the personal assistant, from the next entertainer that was up there and he wrote a book, but also from Cassie's mom, who, while she was on the stand, talked about she was forced to take out a $20,000 home equity loan because apparently there was allegedly some kind of tape. I think that Diddy either had or Diddy won it, and somewhere in there, this was during the Kid Cudi era. You know, Kid Cudi and Case and Cassie were dating, kind of not dating, and there was some kind of tape or sex tape, and allegedly Diddy was leaning on Cassie's mom to pressing her for $20,000. She went through the whole thing, got the $20,000 out, and all of a sudden, nothing. That could play into blackmail or racketeering. Not quite sure. But her mom, while Cassie may or may not be the smoking gun at this point, because like I said, the text messages were tripping her up. The fact that her mom could corroborate most of her story as far as the abuse, and I mean, we all saw the video. Um, you know, the situation with Kid Cudi, she saw the bruising, she saw the marks, um, and it was clear to her that her daughter feared for her life. The part about the $20,000 over a tape, that's that's pretty damning evidence. And you know, of course, during the course of the trial, right now, it's going. We're like, oh well, is it? Is it going to be a stain on the defense, or is it going to be a heavy pull for the prosecutor? I'm keeping track, and I'm like, it could be. It's about neck and neck at this point. You know, this is only the second week. So far, the strippers that have come up on the stand, almost at stage, have maintained the same narrative, which each one of their testimonies satisfies the human trafficking the portion, or the human trafficking side, which is you are bringing people in for prostitution. We we're dancers. We only come to dance and that's it. Now, and you got to remember the theme here throughout all of this is what I said on an earlier video. You know, consequence and intimidation and coercion. Given that there is so far a habit or a tradition of if you don't do this, this will happen, Cassie. And you got to think in other areas, other women that he's been with, female employees, um, even his personal assistant for 2 years, with the lie detector test over some watches and some other bullshit. This is one wacky ass dude. And then you add in the funding. You don't want a paper trail linked to Bad Boy for all of these exploits and the exploit accoutrement. You don't want Bad Boy to be part of this. And you looping in security guards and bodyguards and your security team and personal assistants into this this diner Suge Knight situation. while you have unregistered guns sitting in your lap. Um, that too can fall into racketeering. I'm gonna keep watching, and I'm gonna keep coming back to y'all with some of this stuff because it's just this is something for the books. Like you, it is the second week. They've probably called 8 or 9 people at this point. They're continuing to call people right damn now. If you're still trying to reconcile your conspiracy theories, because you don't know these people, this theory that, oh, at the end of the day, it's her husband that's putting her up to this and all this other stuff. And oh, he's just being put on trial to for his freaky lifestyle. Um, there are other layers to this. And yes, while he may not be nailed to the cross in this particular trial for domestic violence and SA, um, because those are not the charges. That's not the point of the trial. Um, there are other things, especially from her mother and that personal assistant, that is just the tip of the iceberg. And I really want you, crusty lip, shit stain in the drawers, thinking MFers to like get it together. Like that ship has sailed. There is just 2 weeks in, and it's just not. That's just not the case anymore. I'm Mr. Fox Southie's podcast. I thought I'd come up on here and get live with y'all for a bit, and then go back to minding my African American business until tomorrow. I will see you guys later, and I will be sure to give you what you need. In the meantime, between time, follow, subscribe to the YouTube, get into the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and I will catch you guys later.